to teach the difficult words. I suggested to the students that seeing as this was their class project, maybe they'd like to have a hand in deciding what the evaluation criteria should be and the grade breakdown. They wanted to do this, so what we did, or what I did, is I suggested that we set up a poster activity. So we put some big sheets of paper, as you can see, with keywords, with the titles of the key aspects of presentations. Typical stuff, like there was one poster with structure, language, delivery and contents, and the students in groups had to go around and brainstorm the criteria that they would use if they were evaluating an oral presentation. Once they'd worked for a few minutes on one aspect, they changed groups so they could reread what the other students had come up with and add new criteria. Once that was finished, I assembled the criteria on the board. So this was a way for me to add stuff I'd forgotten. And then we decided how many points would be awarded for each aspect. And the students really wanted to do this because it enabled them to award points for the originality of the presentation, so which takes into account the new subject, their take on culture, and also how well the students had taught the difficult vocab. So these ideas that come from the students would now be part of the evaluation as well. During the feedback, the students had said that they would have benefited from written feedback to have a trace, and this is what they said. So they could study points that they hadn't done so well themselves, and use the feedback for future, to take into account before they did future presentations.
This is your feedback or the students' feedback?
My feedback.
Okay.
So what we decided to do is we would use this grid, the class grid. I would write down my comments and then make a photocopy or just give them the grid so they could have the feedback, they could take it away with them. And we talked about the idea of peer evaluation, again to try to address the issue of audience interest, audience, so they don't fall asleep basically. And we decided that what we could do is use a simplified version of the class grid, and all of the students would have that to evaluate their friends' presentations. So these were some of the points that the class came up with as a solutions or to ways of improving the problem of poor presentations, which they agreed with themselves. Sorry. Okay. This is an ongoing project because we haven't had the presentations yet. But there are positive feelings that I've got about the experience so far, and that's really taking the time to understand the student's perspective. It was interesting because earlier when we were doing the group work about the quotes, we were talking about the fact that we adapt our classes. If something's not going so well, we say, okay, what's going wrong? Or would you like to do some group work? Okay, and we adapt. Well, this is sort of taking it a step further and really giving the students 45 minutes, the time to think. And also, for me, this has been a very, very valuable experience. Listening to the students and understanding what they're saying. It's been very valuable as well, really treating the students as learning partners and being sincere and self-critical with the students. I was sort of honest with the students as well, and I said, I think maybe I didn't teach the presentation so well, and I think they appreciated that. And they were interested to see that I was actually calling into question my pedagogy. It wasn't just, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. They seemed to really react well to this. It's been wonderful watching the students be productively critical and self-critical. And I would add here, not only have they been critical, but they've actually seen their criticism be put into practice. The students are used to filling questionnaires and then where does the information go, who knows? Well, the students actually gave feedback and the feedback was acted upon. Watching the students take ownership of the project, not just another presentation, because we do a presentation in each class. Being reminded that my students and myself come to the classroom as different as individuals with different experiences and expectations. The points of improvement are a result of my teaching experience and learning experience, and the students' learning experience. They're ideas that they've liked, that have worked from different classes, from different points in their life, they've all brought together. Observing reflections involved, feeling as if I'm a project facilitator of a student-led activity, and hopefully, fingers crossed, the possibility of better presentations. Okay, so we'll see how the team project evolves and to be continued. So thank you very much, because if we hadn't have come, would have never done this.